Breach! Jeff Solis, please take the hot seat. How much time do we give each person?
1.5 minutes. Do you have the chat over here somewhere?
1.5 minutes.
Chat going over here?
1.5 minutes? All right. Do you have a list of questions you're going to ask me?
Let's say I do. Let's pretend I do.
All right.
All right. Welcome to Bill Moyer's Ideas About Games. Hello, everybody. Jeff Solis. Jeff, when did you start the company? Oh, shit.
2002, I think.
Yes, in 1975.
Yeah.
Jeff's been here a long time. First game was Psychonauts. And what do you do here at the company, Jeff Solis?
I'm a senior artist.
Yeah.
I do a lot of art.
Where have we seen your art? What's your favorite piece of art you've ever done at Double Fine? That got in a game.
That's not in a game?
That got in a game.
Oh, okay. The nipple fountain in Lion White.
The nipple fountain.
Yeah,
That's right.
he's doing this and water is shooting out of his nipples.
That's why we had a whole game based on that. Beautiful nipple work. Yeah, beautiful nipple work. Okay, now so let's talk about Breach. I hear it's a
Space Western?
samurai underwater, right? No, Space
Ninja,
Western.
Yeah, Space Western.
And
Space Western!
The other is
Right.
terrible eyes.
And the gameplay, was there a game that was most similar to, or is it just a cross between different things?
It's a cross between two games, but it'd be like a cross between FTL and Mass Effect 2, Gears of War, a third-person shooter, right?
So wait, is it an RPG or?
There's some RPG elements. It's mostly about keeping your ship alive in space and then flying over to another ship and stealing all of their tasty innards.
Cats.
Yes.
What would the controls be like? Are you actually flying a ship live like this?
When you're in the ship, you're commanding the ship, and when you enter the other, when you board the other ship, it's like a third-person
shooter.
Yeah.
So when you're commanding your ship, is it more just like a cockpit view, or is it more like a HUD?
I was thinking that it could be like in the cockpit or external, sort of whatever you choose. But you're telling your crew, catch up to that ship, target their engines. Fire countermeasures.
What kind of other choices are you making? Are you strategizing about like where to put your energy in your ship, that kind of stuff, or are you adding?
Not quite that much. My idea is that your crew's a little more autonomous than that. But if your ship gets hit and let's say your engine room catches fire, you could actually run down to your engine room and start putting out the fire.
Wait, so you go into third-person just action mode at that point?
Yeah,
and you could just run your own ship
like
too.
if your ship gets disabled. And the guy you're attacking really wants to kill you dead, they can fly over to your ship, and you have to fight them off.
So you, the captain, have to go down and shoot dudes sometimes.
Well, Captain Kirk did, right?
That's true. That's true. Well, WWKD. Okay, so that sounds cool. Someone's watching my time? Or am I just...
I am, but you're good.
Wait, how much more time do we have for...
I'm looking for questions in the chat.
You said 1.5 minutes, right?
Yeah.
I'm taking all your time up this way. So, but you are third person, but then when you go up to control the ship, is it more like you're talking? Do you go up to Mr. Spock?
Yeah, you sit in the captain's chair, and that's where you give commands to your crew.
I've always wanted to sit in that captain's chair. That's cool. And you're always flying in space. Is it like a trading element to the game, or just stealing and looting?
I think that the fact that there is stealing and looting means there has to be some sort of trading element, right? You got to sell those goods someplace. You have to fence, I don't know, whatever space hamsters or whatever you're stealing from people.
I'm interested. Yeah.
Square pigs.
Will the game be serious or funny?
I think it's going to be a little tongue-in-cheek. If anybody's ever watched Briscoe County Jr., that's that sort of inspiration.
Wait, I've
for
never
it.
seen that.
Oh, Bruce Campbell. It's,
yeah.
Okay. It's amazing. Yeah. Also, there was that episode of Cowboy Bebop, Heavy Metal Queen, which was another inspiration for the game. So
that's awesome.
All right, now we should probably get going.
Okay. Any last words you want to say that people need to know about Breach?
I really want to make this game. Please vote again.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Solis. Please pass your microphone to Anna Kipnis. Anna Kipnis, you're here, I assume, to talk about Bad Golf 3?
Yes.
I hear you gave up your spot with your leader to Bad Golf. Is that true?
No.
No. You're like, nope. Sorry, Patrick. Patrick does understand marketing, though. Here we are.
Yeah,
he didn't get picked, and we're still talking about his game.
You guys
Genius.
Vote in 2015.
Oh, nice. Okay. Oh, wait, I didn't even see that. Okay, so, dear leader, obviously based on your life.
As a leader.
As a leader, yeah. So, where did you get the idea for this game?
That's a good question. So I really love the kind of I don't really know what the genre of those games is really, but Papers, Please and Cart Life, like that kind of genre where the story is sort of like the narrative is sort of emergent. The actual gameplay is kind of a simulation, but you like a story develops over the course of it. And I thought also that. I think with Papers, Please, people were really excited about playing a character that like ultimately had no control over their, what was happening to them. But I think it would be also really interesting to do something where you actually have you are controlling the despot and to see like what limitations there are of that.
So would you be able to be like a totally benevolent leader if you wanted to be?
I suppose you could be, but you would be quite challenged in that regard. Like it would be really tricky to navigate those waters.
So you're going to have to get your hands a little dirty to be successful?
Potentially.
And then can you go the other side and be the worst leader of all time
Yes.
and kill everybody?
But at the same time, I want it to be like I want sort of the tragedy of what you've done to also be apparent at the end. So it's a satire. I want it to be really funny. I want it to be like I want it to be
so you're going to
tongue in cheek, but
all dead people in a real funny way.
Well, yeah. It's going to be
like
hilarious.
they're in embarrassing positions when they died, like that?
Well, no, more like just, I want it to be kind of a dark comedy, I guess.
Yeah. I could get that from the pitch a little bit. So what kind of choices are you making when you're the player mostly? Like, is it just, are you navigating between two unwinnable positions, or is there some way that you actually can, like is there a win condition, or is it really not about winning at it?
It's, okay, so basically what you're doing is you're making decisions that kind of change the character of the nation. And then you also have your internal cabinet, and there are people there that you don't necessarily trust or shouldn't trust, and that'll become apparent. Spoilers. Essentially, it's like it's kind of this balancing act between the personal and like the and the good of the country, if you will.
So you're going to be a specific character with a name, like your dictator is special.
No, you're kind of yourself. Like I'm gonna do as much as I can to actually make the player feel like that they can kind of enact like that's their character. Like,
but are you going to get into his personal life or her personal life?
Yeah, I suppose there's going to be a little bit of you're going to have family and things like that, and it's going to come up. So I guess as close as I can get, I want the player to feel like they're playing, like this is what would happen if they were to take up this sort of, position in the world. But there is, like, I guess what I'm saying is that I want the player to be able to bring something of themselves into the game, even though the character that they're playing is going to probably have an established story of some kind, like family and things like that. So.
Okay, that sounds awesome. Sounds great. Do you have anything you'd like to say to people about?
I wanted to thank everyone for voting, and I guess voting again.
Awesome.
If
Good
they
luck.
want to do that.
Thanks. Congratulations, Hannah.
Yay!
Oliver Franska.
So is this the time when I tell you that I actually want to make Red Bull reboot?
Don't touch. You got to learn how to be sneaky about that.
Damn it!
Just say it's derelict, but it's actually Redbot.
It's actually Red Bull.
I mean, you will have robots in this game, right?
Who knows?
So
It's
I had a
mystery.
question about derelict.
Okay.
Because you mentioned Gone Home, right?
Yes.
But how is your game? Because it made me think of Event Horizon, right? Which was really weird and creepy and scary. Is your game going to be weird and creepy and scary, or is it going to be more like Gone Home?
It's a good question. I think I want to be less weird and scary, but there should still be a level of mystery. Like I like a lot of good sci-fi has kind of mystery elements to it, even though like they're not necessarily like in a horror genre. So I think it will be interesting to navigate that space between mystery and horror. But yeah.
So there's like suspense.
Right.
But you're not shooting anything in this game?
No weapons.
You're just exploring and discovering a story about what happened on the ship.
Yeah, I think when I first played, I think the first game I played along those lines was more like Dear Esther as well, which kind of was purely exploration. There's really nothing to do apart from progressing through the story, and I really liked that aspect. And then Gone Home was a great continuation from there. So I really like those kind of games, and I feel like, especially since I want to explore the kind of VR or the VR as a gameplay element, I think this works great for that, because right now there's a lot of constraints still attached with virtual reality, like slow-paced movement and like a lot of kind of constraints for the movement and rotation. So I think that fits pretty well. So I'm excited to.
And are you a drone in the ship or a person?
Right. Yeah. So the idea is that the game itself is set far in the future, but like basically a research spaceship has been lost for like 100 years, and they don't know where it was. It just disappeared off the radar, and there was no communication. And then like basically at this point, we're just sending on drones all over the space to like figure out just generally what's going on. And it found that ship again, but it couldn't find any life signs. But it's so far away that you can't just send humans there. But the drone is already there, and thankfully, the quantum entanglement theory has been progressed far enough that you can actually do like instantaneous communications over those long distances. So the idea is that you're actually like controlling that drone, which works really nicely because you're going to have the headset on your head, so it's hopefully going to actually help you in terms of immersion to kind of get the feeling like, oh, I'm an agent that controls that drone, and I'm actually wearing this because I'm controlling the drone. So
an agent.
Agent. Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. That's cool. Any questions from the chat, or should we move on to the next?
They're all having their own conversation.
Having their own conversation about what game to vote for. Well, thanks for listening. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Oliver. Congratulations. Next up, we have Justin Bailey.
Here you go.
Now, I was mentioning when we were previewing this game that it was quite a relief to realize that the word was eras.
Yeah.
Because when I saw Eros of Adventure by Justin Bailey,
Yeah.
I was scared but fascinated and somewhat intrigued.
Yeah, that could.
So it's not an erotic adventure game.
It's not, although I think Arrows of Adventure probably would have been the top 10 too. So.
Yeah, I don't know if your mic is in a very good
It's
spot
not
there.
on?
It's more like doing Jeffrey's nipple fountain.
I do. Probably not. Okay.
You just don't have your shirt right here. Oh, that's probably good. Okay. So you want to make not just one adventure game, but like 6 adventure games.
Yeah, I figure the first one we did with Broken Age, it was the scope was very big, so we should add and do more games to that, and so.
But not just that engine that we have for Broken Age, but also a text parser.
Like 3 engines. No.
So a text parser, and the next step would be like Sierra, where you point and click, and then a still type.
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, so text parsers are pretty easy to come by, and the technical due diligence is one of the first things I looked into. And there's some things like for doing the prototype that we'd have to do some smoke and mirrors. That in a full game we'd have to actually do it right. One of those things is like with 8-bit graphics. We'd probably go ahead and do some hand painting like we would actually like you've done in Broken Age. I mean, obviously not to that level of quality, but then add a filter, an 8-bit filter to it. So. But that's, yeah. And then so usually you have a text-based parser, which is basically like the Zork Infocom games. Then the next era would actually be graphics ventures, which a lot of people think of the Sierra games, but it's basically just 8-bit graphics on top of text parser. And then of course I'm now telling adventure games to like one of the icons in the genre. So,
awesome.
And then we get to your games.
I don't know much about them. I don't play them. We make them and run.
Exactly.
What is the story, and how does it justify the transition of the eras?
Yeah, so there's a story and a narrative in it. There's not any kind of backstory. You're kind of thrown in it as like in the pitch. You're thrown in a room, and part of the discovery is actually figuring out like why are you in the setting and what's your objective, and even to extent like who you are.
So and do you have that figured out? Do you have an idea for what that all is?
Yes, I do.
There's nothing you want to tell us because it's all secret.
Well, I don't want to spoil. I think there's an experience there that's part of the fun. So.
That's clever. When you don't have it figured out, just be like, it's secret, you guys. Yeah. No spoilers.
Yeah.
And then the final stage for the game is you playing an adventure that looks just like Broken Age.
Yeah. So I mean that was.
Is it Broken Age Part 2? Is that how we're gonna do Broken Age Part 2? Just sneak it in there.
Yeah. So it was a clever way to work in Broken Age. Actually, because there's such high production values on your game, Broken Age. I will state that era is likely to be the shortest, and we're probably going to have to reuse some assets from Broken Age, just to walk around. But it is, one thing to clarify is, I'm not saying we are in a modern day renaissance of adventure games right now, but I think we're at the start of that, and so the game will actually, it reflects some of that. Okay. And then also, it's easier to do a lot of the stuff up front, the text parser and 8-bit, especially in an 8-week prototype would be great. 2-week prototype.
Are you going to write all the dialogue?
I am not.
Who's going to write all your dialogue? You don't know yet.
So there are a huge amount of adventure game fans here and great witty writers. I'm going to take a swing at some of the stuff, but I am going to. It depends on whose games get selected, and then who will actually be available.
Why'd you look at those two?
Help me.
Okay, thank you. Congratulations, Justin Bailey. Thanks for coming. Okay. Next up, Andy Wood. Andy Wood, please take the microphone. Don't clip it to your nipple.
No.
And tell us all about
listen to hard way.
Nice T-shirt.
Thank you. How does this work?
That's at the beginning of any interview. Starts with a, how the hell does this clip work?
Yeah, what is going on?
Oh man, hold on. We're gonna get
Technical difficulties.
strange conflict of interest here. Other project leader,
I'm turning this around
Asa Siddiqui,
intentionally.
who's motivated to actually have your voice sound terrible.
See, it's not.
I think that answered a lot of questions about Asa right now. So, Andy, when you first talked to me about the game, can we talk about Wally? Or is that secret? Is that secret?
Wally.
You were talking about
Thanks.
watching Wally with your daughter.
Yeah, so there's the scene where Eve first touches down onto the planet, and then when the ship goes away and she's all alone, she has like a little fun moment where she just flies around and zooms through the canyons and then does the sonic boom over the water. And my little girl said, "That looks like fun." And I thought, yeah, that does look like fun.
Very fun.
Yeah.
So, is the game more like Pilot Wings or more like Journey or something different?
Something in between. I like the tone of Journey, but I'm not really trying to ape that game or the gameplay or the progression. But I did like Pilot Wings a lot. But I don't want to do full 3D flying. And I just liked the idea of low-level skimming across the surface, like we talked before. That sensation of speed.
Yeah, because things
It's
are
a lot
coming
more
right by the
fun.
camera and a lot.
Yeah.
When you do like flight simulators, it's always really hard to make you know that you're moving at all because the scale.
When you
of-
get up high, it's a lot less interesting than it is zooming around.
Unless you're flying through a flock of birds.
Right.
Constantly flying through a flock
Constantly.
of birds. Greg Rice's game, right?
Right.
Or clouds.
yeah.
Oh, so many possibilities.
So that's where the thermals come in, because I thought that the thermals would be nice to be like elevators or ramps or places to give you a speed boost and get you up to a new place or a new part of the island.
So with the controls are obviously steering, and then is that sonic wave part of just exploration, like a radar?
Yeah, but I see that kind of like the Star Fox twirl.
The barrel roll?
Yeah, something that maybe your low-level flying, you could charge that up, and then it would give you a boost. So it's kind of a dash. It's kind of a sonic boom. I call it sonar boom because it will help you find things that are hidden under the ground.
Would it be like tricks? Would it be like SSX, like snowboarding?
Yeah, maybe the thermals would come in for that, because I'd like the thermals to tie in with the time of day so that those are constantly changing, or they're moving at intervals through the day, so that your path is changing across the island. And then at night time, maybe you have a completely different series of paths or shortcuts.
And is it about trying to find more of these, like are you trying to grab things in the air or are you trying to get to new places?
I think you're just trying to get to new places and find a thing that you would take to somewhere else and combine maybe with another thing. And the images that I put in the concept, I deliberately had really modern stuff in there as well as the old stuff. So there's the totem heads that look ancient stonework, but then there's a aircraft carrier, but that's ancient as well. So the setting is vague.
Yeah,
everything is
mysterious.
ancient, even though we might recognize that as a modern piece of technology.
that's
So
cool.
there are layers of, the idea is that there are layers of history on this island.
And giant bugs like Nausicaa? No?
Maybe. I mean,
Maybe.
Nausicaa is another big influence. I like the submarine that was there in Nausicaa. Although I was talking to a friend about that, and he thought it was a spaceship. So perfect, right? Nobody knows what that is, but it looks modern, but at the same time,
Awesome.
it's kind of
Well,
weird.
that's exciting. Good luck.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Thanks
Thank
for coming, Andy Wood. Come on down, Asif. Dicky. Wait, my camera's not going to look very good while you're over here. I hope you locked it on me while we're talking to you.
I'm sure it'll just fall down and not
What's that?
record any of this.
Don't touch it, Justin. Yeah, thanks. Now that guy knows how to put on a mic. That was good.
It's easy when it's on myself.
So, you are new to game development. How do you feel about that? Are you scared?
Not scared, no.
You should be.
Yeah.
You should be very scared.
I'm sure
It's
there are
not
other
a
people on the
pretty.
team
It's not a
who'll be-
pretty industry.
Yeah.
It's a difficult road you've chosen. I'm giving you this one chance to back out now,
It's fine.
or keep the money and go forward. Tell us about Extraterrium. Are you? You're on a alien planet. You're a scientist, or just a Charlton Heston?
Well, so the way it works, I mean, just to set up a little bit of the story, is that every time there's a new space colony established, like everyone participates in the research of the new planet, and that includes the kids as well. So every kid receives a terrarium that's like a little glass enclosure, and it has like a different sample of the planet. And each one has a random creature in it, And the kids are meant to monitor these creatures. They all have like a little like sort of Google Glass type thing. And each day they send them out, and then they go out for a while, and then they come back, and the kids study the data that the animals find. Now, in your case,
wait, you say terrarium for a second. You're talking about a little desktop terrarium. You're talking about a huge open
a larger
lab.
one. Yeah, it's probably like this big.
But they're going out into the wild of the planet and bringing like specimens back to the terrarium.
The specimens live in the terrarium, right? And then every now and then they will be sent out, sort of like through a pneumatic tube or something, you know. And they pop out in random places around the world. Now, the kid that you're assigned to actually gets this totally standard, like slug type, non-interesting character, but you also happen to get scooped up into this thing, and you're like a totally radically advanced creature that none of the other kids has gotten. You know, if the teachers saw you, they probably would have freaked out. The kid immediately picks up on the fact that there's something special about you because you have this ability to take on the abilities of other animals.
So you're not one of the kids.
No, you're not
this
one of the kids.
other creature that got sucked into
You're like
the
this
tube
little
into the
alien that
terrarium.
got sucked in.
Oh, I get that.
So
Okay.
you're in there with like sort of like the dummy sample that like the kids would get.
I was wondering why the people would send their kids off to a place where they might be eaten by a giant head crab.
All the kids are safe in the space station or in the space colony.
But you do we know who you are? Why you're this advanced creature?
It comes out in the story.
Oh
later.
man, okay. So you're watching other life forms and then you're ripping their shells apart.
Yeah. Yep, that's pretty much it. Actually, I don't know why I didn't just make that my pitch.
Do you fight the animal? I mean, you don't have weapons? Is it mostly like if you get in a bad situation, you're in danger and you're going to get killed?
Yeah, for the most part. I didn't want to make this like a super combat heavy game. I mean, there is going to be some of that in there, but
you get a big stick.
Yeah, probably at some point. I didn't want to make it this thing where it's just like waves of enemies. It's more that you're like out there exploring this huge world, and occasionally you will be set upon by like these dangerous creatures, and you'll have to figure out how to survive against them. And there will also be like a ton of puzzles just sprinkled throughout, almost like Witness style, where you can just sort of go from one to the other, and each one is this sort of like closed loop of animal behavior, and you analyze that and figure out which characters you could maybe exploit and use their abilities to do different things.
Yeah, and you're mostly just surviving. So the little kid can't save you.
No,
You're
the kid has
out there
no
just
idea
trying to
what's
live.
happening. Yeah, it's just you have this little monitor, and that's there's no like live feed between you and the kid, and the kid decides to keep you a secret. It's the whole thing that's part of the
That's
story.
cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, congratulations and good luck. Awesome. All right. Come on down, Derek Brand. Mnemonic. One of your buttons is not the right color.
I know,
don't
and
know
it's
if you
in a
realize
weird
that.
spot too.
Yeah, like
It's
you're trying to draw
check out my
attention
red
down
button.
there. Yeah. Maybe lower. Maybe lower. Oh, okay, good.
Is that
yeah,
okay?
sure. Derek.
That works, right? Hey.
Awesome. So, would you call this is it an adventure game or is it different than that?
It's weird. I guess it would be an adventure game, but it's
How do you move
like a
through
first
it? Are you
person-
moving through it or are you watching it?
Yeah, you're moving through it. It's like first person, sort of Gone Home-ish, I guess, in terms of like exploration wise. Yeah.
Okay, so it's a 3D environment or 2D?
Yeah.
Okay.
3D.
So you're moving through a 3D environment and you're finding memories of like from in people's brains or like where are the
yeah.
memories hiding?
In your own brain.
Are they attached to objects like System Shock or like is that the name of the right game?
No,
The
no.
ghosts
So
that-
I
they
was
just
thinking
floating
there'd
on
be
the
like
world?
a hub of doors. So like I first got the idea, I was thinking that'd be cool if there was just like 100 doors in front of you and you had to pick like one door and go in there and explore it. And then I thought, well, that'd be cool if they were memories. And you were like sort of figuring out what your past was as you progress through these different memories.
Is it your memories?
Yeah,
So you're in your mind kind of.
yeah,
And you're piecing these memories back together to uncover what happened.
right.
And you're making a plane crash into a saxophone player,
Yeah.
right? Did I get that right?
Sure, yeah.
I saw that big. What was going on with the big plane that was crashing into that?
Yeah, so the other thing I was thinking was like, that'd be kind of cool if you could take one part of your memory and put it into another part, another memory, and maybe they're sort of scrambled so that you then had to rearrange them to like, sort of like a puzzle you had to figure out.
So in the room, you don't just move whole memories together. You go into these spaces where there's elements or components of a memory that you can collect like an inventory item.
Yeah.
But you don't take it out of the area, or you actually.
Yeah, no, you're just sort of like keeping it in
You've
your
got
brain.
the idea of it, got like a
Yeah.
pointer to the memory, and then you take it somewhere else and you can plug it in.
Yeah.
Have you thought of any puzzle examples that you can share about?
Yeah, I was thinking it'd be cool, like if you collected a postcard of like a view of like a cityscape or something, you could then put it somewhere else, and it could become like a window to like a location, like yeah, or maybe like.
How would you know? So you just like trial and error figure out what these memories do. Like it's a postcard in one memory,
yeah,
but in another world it becomes a window.
It wouldn't be all trial and error because I would like to. Like the other thing I loved about Gone Home was the environmental storytelling. So you could sort of give clues to like direct the player, so that you're not just like, you know, putting random things in random places to see what happens. And I could kind of take the place of like dialogue trees that you might find in like an adventure game.
Yeah, don't do those.
Yeah.
A lot of very time consuming.
Yeah.
Do you have a story already in mind for what's happening in the background?
Some vague things, yeah. Like maybe maybe it begins with like a murder mystery, and you have to kind of solve. First, you have to figure out not only you only remember one thing, like there's a murder, and then, but you don't know who you are exactly.
Yeah.
Because it's first person, you don't.
Oh, I just had an idea right now, but I don't want to spoil it.
Oh yeah.
We'll tell you later.
We should talk.
Yeah. And it's not like Ghost Trick where you're haunting live people. You're always in this mental world, and you're really just playing with your own memories and try to unfragment your brain in some crazy way. Crazy.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Could be cool.
Any cats in it?
Could be cat, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because did any of the none of the cat pitches made it? Interesting. So we're gonna have to use all those. We made all those cat models in advance, so we've got to. Yeah, awesome. Well, congratulations and good luck.
Thank you.
Brand.
Thanks.
All right. Duncan, come on down, Duncan. Did I pronounce it correctly when I announced the title? Shing.
Shing. Yes.
Not swing.
Not swing.
And not xing.
No.
Project Xing. What does that word mean?
So it's named after wuxing, which is the 5 Chinese elements. So that's kind of what the game is all based on.
Not wuxing.
No, not wuxing.
No, that's more what Andy's game is
I
about.
I don't know Chinese, so I might be missing some of the
No, I think you nailed it.
inflections.
And
Whatever.
so, now you said fighting game.
Yes.
So is this like a 2D, like Street Fighter 2?
Yeah, 2D
like,
gameplay. So like, yeah, Smash Bros, Street Fighter, that kind of side view.
And then how do you have all 5 powers at the beginning? Are you collecting these?
Yeah, so for the sake of balance, like let's say it's 2 players, like 1v1, each of you can control 5 different elements. So you have like 1 spell for each element, for example, and you use them throughout the match.
So are you doing normal fighting things, or is the only way you fight with these powers? Give a punch or a kick or anything
Depending on
like that?
time, there might be some physical attacks just to kind of mix it up a bit, but the focus is on these spells that you're using to interact with the
So as a
environment.
player, you'd select fire and then breathe fire on someone,
Exactly.
and then fire,
Right.
but then cold, but then you do more than that, right?
Yeah.
How do you do that?
I think the cool thing that I want to do with this game that most other fighting games don't is that, like, let's say the wood spell is like you grow this, huge shoot of bamboo out of the ground, and you can use that to like slam into other players or something. But you can also do that to just make like a forest or make a trap, and then you could set that on fire. And these are all like permanent changes that you're making to the map that
I see.
affect the way that the game plays out.
You're placing objects in the environment too.
Yeah.
Wait, what are the 5 things again? Wood.
So there's wood, metal, earth, fire, water.
Okay, cool. So what would metal do?
So metal is like, it cuts wood, just totally destroys any kind of bamboo that's being set up or anything. It comes from the earth, so like maybe you can like draw a blade from the ground while you're standing on it, but it can be melted by fire. So that's just like.
How would you tell the game to like, I want my metal spell to cut the wood, or I want the metal spell to be like blades that come out of the
So
ground?
that's just a lot of like physics kind of writing, just like the way that things collide and interact, and just making all those things, trying to make them flexible and dynamic, so that every match will be different and you won't really know what to expect.
So they're physically simulated, so like this ball of metal energy will float out and collide with something else, and it will make an unexpected result.
Yeah, so it's not like a Hadoken where like it's just like a fireball and it hits a hitbox and then it's over. It's like a fire that hits a piece of wood and it's flammable, and so it spreads and then it lights a part of the stage on fire and like it collapses. Like you can have that kind of stuff because of how dynamic it is.
Yeah, that's crazy. Okay, wow. Okay, congratulations.
Thank you.
And good luck. Let's bring down John Burnhelm. John Burnhelm. Do you want to thank the horse community for the equestrians,
the equine lovers
of America, for supporting this crazy game? Now, when I was talking about this game before, the only puzzle ideas I came up with involved killing the guy who was on your back. But is
that's
not where you're
game.
going with this game?
That's the sequel where you have like an evil twin brother
Bad
horse
Steed
that
2?
is exactly. The Need for Steed.
Nice. I'm sorry. I believe you're disqualified now. Oh man, that's
I crossed the no pun boundary.
The pun boundary.
I hate
All right,
that one,
now
yeah.
any cats in your game? No. So what what controls do you have? Like standard horse controls,
So-
driving, neighing?
It's one thing that the pitch didn't actually show off that this is envisioned as a third-person, 3D kind of open-world-ish game. So I've been playing a lot of Shadow of the Colossus to kind of like see how they built their kind of animation set for their horse, and just looking at that one, that's one of my favorite games where you get to ride a horse. But the thing is, every game where you ride a horse, you are a character on top of this thing, and there's always lag within the controls because it's about me directing this creature that is then moving. And one of the things I'd wanted to explore in Steed is if you actually are the creature, especially horses are really agile. They can do a lot of stuff. There's awesome movies on YouTube that I've seen. I didn't realize that horses could jump in the air and like pile drive somebody. It's amazing. There are videos of this.
Do horses do this on purpose?
They can do this. Well, I was looking up interesting videos of horses kicking people off or throwing people off, and I don't know. They're nuts. They're awesome.
So you're a wrestler and a horse.
A wrestler and a horse. You got a lucha libre mask. But,
do you have an idea for a story that this horse is involved in?
Yes. So I actually got we'll see how much we can get going into this. But the idea is that in this peaceful village, relatively peaceful village, it's just kind of this normal kind of storybook fantasy land. A group of entrepreneur has discovered that he has the ability to understand horse speak. He is a horse hearer, not a whisperer. He just can hear them. And,
horse listener.
And he realizes that the horses actually can understand people. They always have been able to. It's just that people have had this weird relationship where they're controlling them. They're beasts of burden. And he decides that he's going to create this company, this guild of free horses that basically become like Lyft or Uber. Like now the horses can go out. They don't need to be owned by anybody. They don't need to have a bit and a controlling bridle. They basically can go around, pick up heroes, take the heroes where they want them to go, help them with their quests, get paid for it, buy better stables.
This is Crazy Taxi.
So
you're making a horse-based Crazy Taxi.
A little bit,
okay.
A little bit.
All right.
At least that's how it starts. And so you are a horse to find yourself in this situation. You come to this town. You're like, wait, I don't need to be controlled by a human. I can actually, work with them. But then you realize there's some darker things going afoot. And at the same time, you find out that the stable boy that's helping you out is also one of these horse hearers. It's a really rare gift. And you kind of start using him to your advantage to figure out how you can manipulate kind of the human world, but then you end up being a partner with him to save it.
Do you run for president?
President? Again, sequels.
Oh, okay, good. Look at your scope control. Look at that, amazing.
But in terms of controls and stuff, we're thinking like being able to attack, have basic melee combat bidirectionally, so you can do stomps and kicks in the front and kicks in the back. Being able to pick up a rider, put him on your back, throw them off. So if you have that drunken knight and you want to sober him up, you can run over to the pond and chuck him in for a second.
Will you be using road apples as a weapon?
Apples are our food and energy source, so they're not.
There's a question in our chat feed. Would the horses poop?
I like the idea of having some kind of a stamina meter that may be tied to also evacuation.
I was quitting. That wasn't in the chat. I just had that question myself.
Maybe, that's the thing. It's like one of the things I want to explore is what is it like to be this animal instead of to be driving it, and play with the idea of control. Who is in control at what time and who's controlling who, either socially or physically through yanking on some reins and pulling a bit in a horse's mouth.
Great, awesome. Well, congratulations and good luck, Mr. John Burnhelm. I think we're done. I think that's all there is time for. Oh, there's one more. Dave Garner, come on down. Put your mic on. Hello there, young man.
How are you doing, buddy?
Tell me about Bad Golf.
Bad Golf is
Why does everyone put their microphone over the left nipple?
So
I think you need to put it in the middle.
The middle?
Or a little more in the middle.
I just don't want to cover up
a little
Bad
higher.
Golf 2015.
Yeah, we'll get it. But Bad Golf didn't win.
In between
Let it go.
Patrick
won't.
We can't.
Patrick will hold on to it forever. So, what could possibly go wrong?
All right,
it's an adventure game.
Yeah. I want to make okay. So, what could go wrong? The first thing I thought of when I thought of what could go wrong was I was kind of walking around and I was like, man, I really like horror movies, and I played a lot of horror movies or horror games, and I was kind of surprised that there was never any real honest 1980s horror movie games, or that wasn't like a genre all in itself. And I was like, that's crazy. There should totally be these games because that genre is awesome, and why not be killed instead of just watch people getting killed.
So, and who do you play in this game?
I want to do the 6 kids that go camping together. You play as them and get killed as them.
Is it like Maniac Mansion? You're picking from the kids, or
kind of, yeah.
You're controlling, jumping between each one.
I really like I come from a film background, like when I went to school, so I still really like the editing in film and the pacing in film. And what I'd like to do is Sam and Max kind of did this too. John, you were talking to me about this a little bit, but I like to play a game that kind of switches around from character to character, and there's a few games that do that. But I feel like a lot of times when I'm playing a video game, it's kind of like I really get into the story and I really get into the characters, but then all of a sudden I'm just kind of like walking around in this really long, boring scene. Whereas like when you're watching a film, it's like this awesome thing happens, and then this awesome thing happens.
How would you keep up that pace?
So I mean, like like I'd like to say you're trying to solve the puzzle of trying to turn the power on in a room, and it's like you're in this dark room and you're fiddling around with all these items and you figure out how to finally get the fuses in this thing, and like right when you hit the switch, normally you would hit the switch and the lights would come on and be like, all right, now solve the puzzle in the same room now that there's lights. What I would do is just you hit the switch and then it cuts, and now you don't even get to see the room lit up, but you actually just cut to somebody else. And like in a film, there'd be like this weird cut where like someone's now like eating something or something like that. And then now the puzzle, now you're automatically in a new scene where you're solving a new puzzle. Then like after like 3 or 4 cuts, maybe those puzzles like overlap with each other, and like the puzzle that you're solving with the guy eating in the cafeteria now is mixed in with solving the puzzle of the person now in the lit room, or maybe the fuse turns on the power somewhere else as well, and someone's like, whoa,
so like nuts and bolts wise, it would look like a 2D graphic adventure?
Yeah.
What would the controls be like? Would it be like Broken Age? Or
it'd be like Broken Age. I think that it's funny, there are a lot of really good horror adventure games. And it's kind of funny that genre of video game control actually works really well with the horror theme, because like I think in an adventure game you kind of like sort of zone out and you sort of get sucked into sort of the environment and the story and the characters, and then when like something scary happens, it kind of shocks you rather than.
So how would it be different than the previous? Mostly about the setting being in the 80s?
Yeah, most of it, the setting being the setting. The characters are super important to me. Video game characters to me are less dynamic than I'd like them to be, so I really think it's weird that there's no video games about a bunch of kids going camping and getting super high, and like how that affects their relationship with each other. It doesn't make any sense to me, because like a huge demographic of people playing games are doing exactly that. So
no, they're not. If they were out camping, they wouldn't be in playing video games.
I don't know.
What are you talking about?
I brought an iPad once camping, but but I mean, like, it's like that type of character. Like I want to see more. I want to see a deeper set of characters, like in the video games that I play. I don't want to just play the same Han Solo character over and over again that I usually get to play. I want to play like the stupid cheerleader, or the like really dumb stoner, or the like really strong jock or confident person, and I want to see them all like sort of dynamically sort of make fun of each other and tease each other and fall in love with each other and get their heads cut off
together with each other. Okay, awesome. Well, good luck and congratulations, Mr. Garner. That is everybody, right? That is everybody. So we will just say congratulations to all you guys, and we are going to be this week letting people vote on which of these 10. All your votes previously have been wiped. They have been used to create this fine group of the best pitches, in your opinions. And so they are now, the slates are clean. Everybody is in first place or last place, depending on how you look at it. So please vote again. You have 3 more votes. If your project that you voted on, all 3 of them maybe, didn't get picked, so now's your chance to pick from this group of people. I'm looking over there. This group of people. And you have until Thursday at noon to vote. And we'll do other live streams this week. We're going to have a talk with Penn when Penn Ward arrives. And anything else happening this week that we should tell people about?
We'll also be streaming when the actual pitches get selected.
Yeah, on Thursday.
But the page is already live now. You can already go and vote.
So you can go to humblebundle.com/doublefine to vote, and just keep watching that site for more updates, and our Twitter feeds to find out if we do any more surprise live streams like we did today. Surprise! If I warned everybody would have bad golf shirts on right now, so I wanted to surprise everybody. So thanks to all of you, and thanks everybody for watching. Thanks 2Player and everybody.